Hello, my
Hello! We did it.
We did it. We did it.
How
So
are
nice
you?
to see you.
Nice to see you again. So nice. Thank you so much for having this time for us, for your Brazilian fans. So nice to see you.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure to have you here today. What a special woman you are. I was reading all about you more and more, and I'm more in love with you. Alice, I'm going to introduce you a little bit. Alice is a chef, author, and food activist. Has one of the most celebrated restaurants in the world, Chez Panisse, established in 1971, almost 50 years ago. Amazing. It's situated in Berkeley, California. And what's amazing is that since the beginning, Alice had prioritized the ingredients, the fresh ingredients, the ingredients what the farmers had seasonally. This didn't happen in any restaurants 50 years ago. So this is amazing. That's such a modern movement now. And you did it since the beginning. Alice changed the way Americans eat, supporting the slow food movement and the fresh, organic, and locally grown ingredients in a way that is good for the environment. I know you are very into the slow food with your friend George from Schneider from Prazeres da Mesa. That's very nice. So Alice she wrote 15 books and has an education project that's called the Edible Schoolyard. You started a delicious revolution. Thank you so much. The audience here today, Alice, they are mostly culinary arts students, former students, and some cooks. And they're looking for some guidance in these complex times we are living now. What can you tell them?
I think that there is a silver lining to this pandemic because we have to be at home. We have to be pretty much cooking for ourselves. We're thinking and we're worried about where our food comes from. And we're eating with our families only, pretty much, who are our very good friends. And it's awakened us to so many issues. And from my point of view, when you decide that you're going to support the person who is growing the food, producing the food, and you know that person and can count on that person, it gives you such a sense of security, number one. But it also brings the values of the land into your home or into your restaurant or into your school. And that's what happened at Chez Panisse at the beginning. Because we struggled. We were looking for taste. We were not looking for organic. I mean, yes, we were, because I grew up in Berkeley. And I was here in the 60s in Berkeley, and I believed in diet for a small planet. I understood the kind of dropping out, growing your own food. All of those ideas were percolating back in the 60s. But when I opened the restaurant, I wanted the food to taste like the food I had eaten in France. And I couldn't find it, and I couldn't find it. And finally, we met a farmer, and that changed everything. It changed everything. We started giving our scraps because he wanted all the scraps back to his farm to regenerate them. And so it was really a little bit of harmonic convergence that we helped each other. And there was no middleman taking the money. nobody asking him to sell wholesale. So it was like how people bring their food to the farmer's market. They bring the food and they sell it at the price that they need to receive for doing the work and taking care of their farm workers. So it's a very big picture. And I think that we might be able to really come in to this global picture with a hopeful scenario, not just for our own nourishment, but for directly affecting climate change.
Yes, that's very important.
Pulling down that carbon, the regenerative farmers and ranchers are doing a huge service for the planet.
Yes. How are things at Chez Panisse now? What, are you working with delivery? Are you completely closed? How is your staff? How are things with you?
Well, I was determined to keep our staff paid. And either some of them are on unemployment and some of them are being paid by a small business loan. But I have a little backup loan from friends of the restaurant that are willing to give us money in the bridge time. And I feel very lucky about that. But we are trying the most important part for us, for my big picture, is to take care of the farmers and the ranchers. So we did something for the Edible Schoolyard Project that's such an amazing idea, because we're working in a city of Stockton, about an hour from Chez Panisse. And it's a place that grows a lot of industrial food out there. But the mayor of the city said, I want to have all organic food for all the school lunch. I want to do this. So we started to help him. And we asked this philanthropist during this difficult time to buy food from our suppliers. And then we're giving it away to all the people in Stockton who need it.
To that community.
And we're putting a little recipe in there.
This is great.
So they can, learn how to cook something that maybe they haven't thought about. And I think it's a way for us to put, in a way, the city in touch with the people who care about, feeding the people who live there.
So tell, as you mentioned, the project, the education project, can you tell us a little bit more about, for people that doesn't know this project, the schoolyard?
This is a project that I started 25 years ago. I can't believe it's 25.
Time flies.
But my daughter was little, and I started thinking about what kind of school was she going to go to? What was she going to eat in the schools? And so I went around to the nearby schools to take a look, and I was so shocked by how neglected they were, physically, how neglected. And I made a big comment in the newspaper about that. How can you have the great University of California and have public schools look so broken and neglected? And the principal called me up and he said, please come help us. And so I went over, and it was built on a big piece of property. So the vision came to me all at once, that they could have a garden classroom not to teach gardening per se, but to teach math and biology, maybe even art
with food.
Gardening. And then I said, well, let's have a kitchen classroom too. And we can, again, teach the academic subjects. Maybe it's geography, maybe it's language, maybe it's history. And then you're cooking food of that place that you're studying. And you're learning how to cook, but you're really deeply in the culture of the place you're learning about. And then I had the vision of a cafeteria being, again, a place of study. So not disconnected from their academics, but really an extension of them. So if you're studying the food of Brazil, you would be eating that for your school lunch. You may be having, you'll have to tell me some nice spicy soup. I remember all the food I ate when I was in Sao Paulo, and I just was taken away by it. I really, really was. I had no idea. And I learned so much from that time I spent there.
This was a year ago. A year ago you came for Fruto, for Alexa.
January. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
But I really, anyway, so I thought of this big vision that the schools could support the people that were growing the food, taking care of the land for the future. And they would be an economic engine, okay? So they have they buy food, and right now they're buying food from fast food nation. And this would be a change. They would buy it from the small farmers, ranchers, set up their own network, decentralize school lunch, school food. And I just know that this can happen. And I know actually you were supporting it in Brazil in a way by requiring schools to buy a certain amount from small family farms. And that's a wonderful beginning.
So how many schools are doing this now? I mean, do you have, how many schools do you have the project, and how many schools? I know.
We have a network, and we set up initially schools in different places in the United States to test the theory that this could work anywhere. Mm-hmm. So we did one in New Orleans, which is very hot, and it was right after Katrina. We did one in New York City. We did one in upstate New York. We did one in the South in North Carolina, and in Los Angeles, a really big city. And we realized that it's a set of values. It works anywhere. And when I went to see the school in New Orleans recently, I was so knocked out. It was, they had thought of things that I never would think of. Just the way I could imagine a school in Sao Paulo, just a whole sense of their culture, it folded into the values of stewardship, nourishment, and community. So then we decided, well, maybe we need to let all those schools just do what they do and not try to, in any way control anything.
Sure.
And so we started building 8 years ago a network, and we have over 7,000 schools around the world.
Amazing.
880 in California alone.
Amazing.
But it's, again, I have no idea. Some may have just a garden classroom. Some may have a cafeteria that's
sure. And do you perceive that the children are different, special? There is a study to see that, because...
Well, I'll tell you two things I know for sure. If children grow the food and cook it, they all eat it.
Yeah.
And that's the experiment of a school with 1,000 children. And they speak 22 different languages.
Wow.
And it's a middle school, so it's teenagers, okay? Hard to do. But they feel so empowered by it. I always say, you know, it's 6 weeks to eating kale. They don't eat kale normally. Now
sure.
It's simple.
Yeah.
And that all of them, when they graduate in 3 years, they all know about stewardship. I think they will all pay attention to food and the environment for the rest of their lives. And if you begin this education, this edible education, when they're very little,
makes all the difference.
They will be forever, you know, taking care of themselves.
Sure, that's nice. And then, and this idea about the school source their foods direct from farmers and small producers, this is not easy to do. I mean, because they solve the procurement and all those things. I mean,
it is.
Has to change the whole chain.
Well,
right?
It is. But, you know, I have been doing it for, let's say, 500 people a day for many, 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 many years. At first, it was difficult to make that connection. But after about a year or two, it was a pleasure to do it, because you're working with the farmer. You're eating what he's growing or she's growing. You're learning about vegetables and fruits that you never knew about before. You're in a complete conversation like this with the person, or even in person. Now, we had to hire what I call a forager at first, who would go out, find the farms, the ranchers, talk to the people, write notes about it, bring them to the restaurant to eat, and see whether it would work or not. And some didn't, not very many, but everybody was happy to receive more money.
Yeah, of course.
Than they would if they sold it to Whole Foods. So that made a big difference. Everybody wanted to sell to Chez Panisse.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That, I mean, we have a network of people. Maybe we have 5 peach farmers. One for early in the season, middle. Some can't get all of the peaches for us, but we get them from lots of different farms. And that's the way we would get salad too. And we'd make a mix of lettuces, and it never was a problem at all, ever. And when the peaches are over, they're over. And
let's do another thing.
And right now, I'm just waiting so much for the apricots.
Ah, that's delicious. But
it's a different way of eating. It's against the global food diet, anything you want, whenever you want it, 24/7. It's leaving that behind. It's saying, this is what you have, and you can always make greens, winter greens. You can always make beans. You can always make cornbread. There's things that are basic to the diet that children love. And that's the comforting part, is there's always something.
Yes.
And yeah.
No, continue, please.
So go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was thinking, what's an advice? I mean, talking about that, I mean, who is starting their careers, I mean, that's so important, I mean, to think about that, because I think people just go with what's normal, right? So right. What would be your biggest advice for the new cooks, the new chefs, the students?
Well, without any question, to understand that nourishment begins in the ground. That's what's rebuilding our immune system. That's why we're so vulnerable to this virus, because our insides have been compromised by fast food diets around the world. More so in the United States, I think, than any place. But it's made us more vulnerable. And the great thing that cooks can do is to talk about the farmers, where they get something. What is right now? Have menus that relate to the seasons and that explore the biodiversity. I mean, we get 7 different colors of carrots. 7.
Yes, it's amazing.
So one day you can make, orange and yellow, and the next day you can do purple and red. I mean, and who knew about this? Who knew about this 10 years ago? Nobody
knew. I didn't. It's recent for me, yes.
So it's like, it's so beautiful, and it's so tasty because it's right. So it's not a difficult thing to ask people to do. I mean, for me, it's a gigantic pleasure to be able to surprise people on a menu from the restaurant, and to find a new farmer that's raising something else that we don't know about. Yes. And it's also very important to go out to the farm to really
get to know. Yes.
To get to know, not just on the phone, but really to see, like, I mean, I always love to go to the farmer's market. I know everybody there. They're my best friends now.
I know.
And I feel so grateful, particularly right now, although I don't go to the farmer's market, but I support with community-supported agriculture. That's what I'm talking about. I know you must have that in Brazil.
Yeah, we're a little behind, but we're starting this. Yes.
It's really the best way, that you give the farmer money in advance, and he or she gives the food that they have. And that means you have to be inventive, and you have to think about it. And it's a great way to do the right thing. And that's what I'm talking about in the schools. I'm calling it school-supported agriculture. And we have a little pledge.
Yeah, I saw that. That's beautiful. I'm gonna post it up.
No,
that's amazing. Yes.
But I have it actually in Portuguese too.
Yes, that's right. You can send to me and I post it. Yes.
Yes. Because I really think that children are our future, of course, and that they need to be edibly educated right away. They need to be nourished, all of them. So we're talking about a free school lunch for every child.
Yeah.
We're talking about, you know, really cooking at the schools, not bringing in, you know, fast food in packages, having kids sit down to eat, having them even participate in the service. We're talking about even having people in the neighborhood who would like to help with the preparation, come into the kitchens and get a free school lunch for themselves too.
That's a dream. We are far behind it in Brazil.
Well,
but it's a way to think about, you know.
It's a way to really feed everybody, and there's something so wrong about a country like ours that is discriminating against people who are too poor, and to be serving food in the schools that is unhealthy.
Completely canned.
It's immoral. It's immoral.
But so, you did have a big support of the politics. The President Obama, they planted a garden in the White House, right? So this all brought attention. You did it. You went there. I remember I saw that you said your dream was to have this herb garden in the White House instead of the rose garden, right? So this is important, right? You did it.
Well, they were very inclined to do it themselves. And what I loved is that Michelle Obama did it with children. She dug the garden with the children. And that made a very, very big impression. I hope it's not dug up right now.
We don't know. We don't know.
Or not watered.
Yes.
We don't know. But
yes.
It's important that people that are known for their values and are in public life, that they use this moment to talk about food.
Exactly.
And to talk about agriculture and to plant a public garden like at the Civic Center.
In San Francisco.
We did that in San Francisco when we had a big slow food event in 2007. And we planted a garden in front of Gavin Newsom's office. He was the mayor. Now he's the governor of the state of California.
Yes, and he's doing a good job, right?
And he remembers that garden.
Yes.
And he is totally in support of our pledge. He wants this to happen in the schools. He's talking about it. And so we're in a very good position in California with most of the public officials all aligned, understanding that this is a moment in time.
Yes. You know that, you don't know that, but my career started in food, started when I moved to California in 1989, and because of you.
No.
I had 3 babies and I started to cook for them, completely organic. In 1998, in the beginning of the 90s, that we didn't talk about organics in Brazil. And I started my career in food because of the, California, organic, Chez Panisse, it was amazing. So this is, we can change lives, little by little, yes.
I started Chez Panisse because I went to France. And I had a year there. And that's the way they shopped from the local organic farmers. It was before there were pesticides and herbicides, and there were not industrial farms. You ate only in season, and you had the farmers markets in every neighborhood, and that's the way it worked. And I didn't think at that time what I absorbed until I got back home and I wanted to live like the French. Where was my baguette? And so we opened a bakery and made baguettes.
Yeah, and you didn't have a formal food education, right?
No.
This was you going to France. This is interesting. I mean,
just doing it, but everybody can do it. And there's so many wonderful, inspiring books about cooking, and it's mostly about finding the ingredients.
Yes.
And then they tell the story. I mean, I got somebody from a fish market that supplies the restaurant, brought over the first spring salmon and put it on my back porch today.
Oh, it's delicious.
I'm so excited because we never buy salmon unless it's local.
Sure.
So we don't buy it from Alaska. But fish is shipped all around the world. We don't even know what is local. And so to have this salmon tonight, I'm just trying to think about how to let it be itself, not to destroy it by messing around with it too much.
How are you going to cook it? Do you know?
I think I'm going to slow bake it. I think that's what I'm going to do. Just let it go at a very low temperature until it's just done.
Delicious.
I might wrap it in my fig leaves because I have fig leaves in the backyard.
That's amazing.
Fig leaves because they have that little coconut aroma, and it's so delightful with salmon.
That's delicious. This is one thing, I mean, about you. You always have been guided by simplicity and beauty. How can that help us in these unsure moments we're living in our lives?
Well, right now, I'm smelling my roses, and they're so intoxicating. I mean, it helps you remember that nature is our mother, that she really brings the beauty into our lives, whether it's a sunset, whether it's the sense of aliveness, whether, it's the moon changing and lighting up the world. But we have been so disconnected with our technology and our wanting to control everything in our lives that we've lost touch with the rhythm of nature. And that's something we can get back again. And I always, when I'm even eating just by myself, I want flowers on the table, even the simplest thing, a wildflower. I want to light a candle because that makes me feel like I'm in a moment that I could think about being in the restaurant, or it helps to bring in sensations that are comforting. It's like lighting a fire in your fireplace.
Yes.
That you have an aroma, and it says something good it's cooking, and you think about that. But it's very important. Fast food culture has taken that from us. They tell you that that's only for people who can afford it. Museums, no. But I even see on the internet now that many museums are really opening up their collections for us to
that's beautiful. Yes.
And there are music events happening from around the world that are having festivals that you can be part of. And this big picture of culture, that's what we're talking about, bringing the culture back to agriculture.
Yes.
So we can have dinners on a farm. We can see movies on a movie screen out in the backyard. That's what my daughter did for my birthday.
She did?
She did. Her boyfriend knows about how to set up the screen, and they chose a film that they knew I would like, and they played it outside.
As a surprise, you had no idea?
No, I didn't.
Wow. That's beautiful.
But we really have forgotten about a lot of traditions that keep you in time and place. I know we're looking forward to figuring out how to celebrate our garlic festival in July. We always have it every year at Chez Panisse. But now we're going to be sharing it online somehow. And
the smell, you have to show the smell as well.
But we got to get some good music. Where is Caetano Veloso when we need him?
Caetano Veloso, yes.
So all I do is listen to Caetano.
We love him.
And, he sent me one of his videos where he's singing, and I just probably turn it on every other day and listen to him.
Yeah,
it's just such a comforting, really, just saying, be calm.
Be calm. Everything's gonna be all right.
Right? Yes, but he's such an activist.
Yes.
It's so important that we are the change we want to make. And that's really important to me, is that just do it. Don't wait for the government to tell you it's okay. But if you do it the right way, and you make it beautiful, and you do it in a safe circumstances for children, feeding, there's no way that anybody could criticize it. We just can't. We can't wait.
Or close our eyes, right? We have to
or close our eyes. Exactly. We need to help the people, get their food to the schools and to the people who need it. And
yes. Doc, you just talked about your daughter, and she just released the book, right? Always Home, right? How that relates to this moment we're living in? It was a coincidence, right?
But it was a coincidence.
Yes.
She never knew that it would relate to this time so completely. And of course, she couldn't go on a book tour. She can't sell the books in bookstores or anything. And so she kind of went online with it. And I'm just so impressed that people have liked her little cooking demonstrations. And she is really talking about eating simply at home. All the recipes are her favorite ones from all the cooks that we knew. And so it's a great group of recipes, and none of them hard. All of them, that she was inspired by. And she's got a very sensual way of writing. So you feel like you're right next to her.
Well, she had a good inspiration and a good teacher, right? And then she's staying with you. You're cooking a lot, and
we are, and I think we're learning from each other. I have never understood exactly how to make a really tasty vegetable stock, and she won't let me throw out a thing. not to the compost. I'm always wanting to put in the compost. And she uses every bit of everything. And she loves things spiced, very much in that Brazilian way. She's very interested in hot pepper, garlic, you know, cumin, and a lot of spicing.
Yes.
And fresh herbs.
So do you like it?
Oh, yeah.
So good to have someone cooking for us as well, right? That's
It is. It's so wonderful to have somebody to be with. I don't know whether I could have managed by myself.
Yes, someone saying that there is a Kindle version in Amazon about the book. I know. So yes, there is.
Good.
Yes. I have some friends that are already listened to it. You know that, so it's amazing.
Well, it's not been translated, sadly.
Yeah, in English, but it's okay. It's her, and it's her voice, right? So it's
yes, it
passion.
is her voice. It
yes.
Is. And I wrote the introduction, so my voice is there too.
Great. So, what else do you think you can talk about? I mean, about these times. Do you think things are going to be the same? The things we don't know. I know that's a question that nobody knows. How is California? How is things are opening already? I don't think so, right?
No.
Yes.
But I think things will not be the same. We realize the interconnectedness of the world, for better or for worse. I mean, and we're going to have to, in a way, this is a dress rehearsal for climate change. And so we don't want to go back to the way it was, just not paying attention to the environment and just thinking we can fly wherever we want, whenever we want, and order our stuff from Amazon and just
don't think about
like it's okay. But that's why I really want to focus on the schools, because they are about teaching. And if they could be teaching the values that we're talking about. I was a Montessori teacher. And I think her philosophy is more important now than it ever was, because she worked 100 years ago in the slums of Naples in Italy and in India. And she worked with children that she called, that were sensorially deprived. It means that they were not touching and tasting and smelling and hearing and seeing something that came into, those are our pathways into our minds. And if they are not, really bringing in beautiful information, you really are imprisoned. You're in prison, being poor and hungry. So I am thinking that we have a whole population in this country that is sensorially deprived because of the fast food culture. They aren't tasting. They aren't smelling. They aren't seeing something beautiful. They aren't really hearing. They're on their phones. They're not seeing. They're being indoctrinated. And so we need to open that world up in the schools. And Montessori said that there are practical life exercises, and they were usually always around food. And so we would have these little canisters, that 2 sets of them, and you had to match the ones that smelled alike. And I loved that kids would, which one is the cumin?
Right.
The other one, try. And then the tasting of that, blindfold, touching, reaching into a bag of vegetables and identifying what they were before you took them out. And it kind of piqued their curiosity. She did that. She always was an internationalist. So she had maps, puzzle maps for the whole world. And you'd have to put these puzzles together. And they were even complicated for me. But I learned so much. And she had children tracing the leaves with a pencil and learning the names of the leaves. And penmanship was always important, because she said the hand is the instrument of the mind. And you're learning to write was something very important for your mind. And all of these ideas, and the most important one was learning by doing.
Yeah, that's
So
a very good, that's a very wise way to learn.
You're learning. And even though we all know that learning by doing is the best way to learn, we don't do it in the schools. We have them all in their desks. So that's why our garden classroom and kitchen classroom are so successful, because the kids love to be there.
They feel, they do
together, and they love it.
Yes. The Waldorf schools also, they do very beautiful work about that.
Yes, and Steiner schools, many of these schools. So the whole environmentally, environmental curriculums in many schools, but we need it for all schools.
Yes, I hope this time now that we stop a little bit, and the children are being taught now by their parents as well.
That's
so
right.
It's something that we didn't think is going to happen.
Are using food to teach math. Counting the peas. Counting the peas.
That's beautiful.
Cutting the beans.
Yes.
Doing addition and subtraction. Whisking the egg whites. Calculating recipes. It works really well for math.
That's a good advice for all the parents that are striving a little bit to be teaching their children now, because it's not easy for some people. Some people it's easy, some don't.
So hard for so many people, really.
Yes.
Especially when 2 people are working and you have a couple children at home. And I'm just so sympathetic. I don't know how you do that right now.
Yes.
Except
Me
to count.
either.
You're drawing from your really deep motherly and fatherly resources.
Yes.
But children are learning to be patient.
And also with all the device, all the electronic device, you have to know. I mean, I'm so glad my children are not little children anymore, because it's so complicated to have to know how the time that they can be in their electronics, the time to stop. It's very complicated. Yes. Well, my dears, we're close to the end. I don't know if you want to. I know someone that sent you a big kiss is Davi from Gastromotiva. Davi Hertz from Gastromotiva. Yes, he's doing a beautiful job here.
Big kiss to you. Yes. I think his work there is so amazing.
Yes.
Kitchens up in the favelas. I've been there. I went there with Carla Petrini, and it really opened my mind.
Yes.
As to what the potential is for the growing of food, the cooking of food. We can feed everybody. We can. We can. We need the land. We need the encouragement to do this. But we can. And
they're doing a beautiful job now, because they are empowering their graduate students to cook in the favelas now. I know you know about that. Yes, so it's beautiful.
Well, I had one of my best lunches in Brazil in the favela with Califo.
Yes.
Well, such.
Yeah, George is saying hello. George just said,
George.
Hello, my dear friend. Well, so you have a couple minutes, maybe. You gave so many beautiful messages to us all. Everyone is right and everyone is so inspiring. Thank you. But we want to hear a little bit more about something else you can tell us.
One thing that we have planned is a big event in September, at the end of September, in Sacramento in California. We want to do a slow food Terra Madre event there. I don't know whether we will be able to, but that is our intention. And we want it to be a Terra Madre of the Americas. So we want you to all come up from Brazil, farmers and cooks, and we're going to do a table from the capital to the Sacramento River, a mile long. And we want to have the farmers and the teachers at the table. And we want all the cooks to be cooking for the farmers and the teachers, because they're the ones that feed us. And I think Alex Italia is already committed himself to coming, and I really am hoping that we'll be able to really open those borders for you. And I know Gavin Newsom is ready to do that and to help make that happen.
A mile-long table. That's so beautiful.
A long table. And we hope that we'll have the museums to have exhibits and conversations like we had at Fruto. But the idea is to connect food, climate, and regenerative agriculture. That triangle. And make it very clear to people that is essential for our future.
Yes, it will happen. If it's not in September, maybe it's 2021, maybe, right? I mean, the idea is there.
Bella, it's going to be, that will be our 50th birthday of Chez Panisse too. So I'm just going to press on people to come.
Yes.
if the world is open again.
I can't believe it's 50 years already. It looks like it was yesterday. Thank you so much, Alice.
Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. People are asking if, yes, we will save this video in the Agência Sibarita's IGTV. We have the video saved. And thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you for being with us. So inspiring for all of us. And it's a pleasure. You're always an inspiration to everyone.
Thank you for inspiring me too. True.
Thank you very much.
Our friend Joanna from Agência Sibaris, who is promoting that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Obrigada a todo mundo por assistir. Muito obrigada. Thank you so much.